Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. Tim Wild with the Friday Ascension update. And how are you all feeling? We're 2 days to the Lion's Gate, or 2 days to the official portal of the Lion's Gate, where the planet that we live upon lines up with the galactic core, with Sirius, pyramids with Orion's belt, and the energy that has been coming in recently has been so phenomenal that many of us are kind of like really finding it not overwhelming, but we're having to navigate fresh territory on how we work with ourselves, how we integrate, taking real solid steps to loving ourselves and looking after ourselves, and also with the people around us, a complete resetting almost of the fabric of reality. And I want to talk a little bit about the spiritual laws this morning, because spiritual laws govern all spaces of existence. Okay, so say for the sake of example, you have planet Earth, where we have been living, existing, incarnating, learning and growing for over like the last 260,000 years. It's the particular laws that I'm referring to came into full effect at the beginning of the Atlantean experiment, which began 260,000 years ago and concluded at the cosmic moment. And these set of spiritual laws are very, they're very distinctive. They're very simple. I and others will refer to them as the law of one: grace, intention, manifestation, karma, responsibility, and unconditional love. And if you put those together, you get the seventh pillar, which is known as the law of one. Now, there's lots of kind of like little, almost like subtext to this, like other rules and regulations for reality that most of us on the spiritual pathway get acquainted with when we step out, when we start to do this job. Now, one of the biggest ones, one of the greatest and most commonly adhered to laws of our reality, be it 3D or be it 5D, is the kind of what we'd regard as almost the law of non-interference, or basically stepping in when you aren't permitted to, or when you haven't been invited to. Now, the only exception to this is the law of grace, which is, as many of you will know, the energy that the unicorns work upon. So for those of you that have experienced unicorn energy, I mean, like I know there's the portrayal of them, beautiful white horses with a horn of light, and which has the ability to kind of completely alter and change all aspects of your reality when you connect with them. I've always experienced them as something much more they've always come to me as a far more powerful version of this presentation. Whenever I've met a unicorn, whenever I've interacted with one, they've always appeared as an incredibly bright point of almost diamond white light that it would, if it was a light in physical reality, we wouldn't be able to witness it. It would be so bright and so intense that our physical eyes wouldn't be able to cope with it. Well, this is how they come in. And at the moment, we have more unicorns flooding in through this gateway, this portal, than I've ever seen before. So, and and they were also invited in with the workshop that I've done recently. Now, one of the specific things that's going on at the moment, I analysed it in my newsletter, and I've also spoken about it a little bit in the presentations that I've done previously, is the reason why Archangel Gabriel and the higher realms have taken an opportunity to intercede on what is going on in our reality around us at the moment. Now, I'm not. I'm going to obviously, as always, I choose my wording carefully, because obviously we know the situations of polarity on this planet. We know what the light is doing. We know about the dark. Okay, and these are two very prominent aspects of our existence at the moment. We are as light as we are light, and there is also an availability of an abundance of very visible darkness at the moment. Now, this transition, if you break it down energetically, is a transition from ego to love. So, you're looking at it in a very, very basic aspect, light and dark. Okay, so when we incarnated in 3D, we chose this planet many times over because of the incredible learning potential that it offers. You come down here in a physical body, like the one that I'm speaking to you now, and with little or no memory of who I am, what I was, where I've come from, what my mission is here, or anything else about what I'm actually supposed to be doing. Now, over the course of the incarnation, I learn and grow, you learn and grow, and 3D was incredibly distinct. It had some very, very set boundaries for this learning experience, despite all of the choices that are available. This is what made it so incredibly good to learn within. Now, one of the things that is occurring at the moment is the matrix that we are removing ourselves from, the 3D matrix. I use this terminology because we are all aware of this extraction from fear to love now. So we are moving from fear, where we have been for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and setting our targets on love, a love-based society, a love-based existence, everything that operates and functions from the heart rather than from fear, ego, and all of the other things that have kind of made up and constructed and controlled where we've been for all of these millennia. Now, as we predicted, this extraction process, this moving house, has become quite messy. We've done on our side as light workers, as earth workers, as warriors, as representatives of all of the various points of cosmic light that we've come down as, we've done such a remarkably efficient job that we're almost, you might have heard me talk about this before, we're ahead of schedule. We've actually done way more than was actually predicted for this period of time. And in the process of doing so, it has created almost like a pushback or a counter reaction from the 3D matrix in order to retain control. Now, when Archangel Gabriel spoke about bringing down this hammer of light, which is I know it's an incredibly biblical statement, but that's how he presented it. He said the laws of 3D engagement have been broken. Okay, meaning how a certain group of individuals interact within the spiritual laws of that 3D matrix. In order to retain control, they have now almost bolted the gate and broken laws, which, even though they've managed to retain this incredibly controlling scenario for thousands of years, because of like this breakthrough that we're having, this global awakening, they've panicked and stepped over this line in the sand that they've always been very, very careful not to step over. Now, that particular line in the sand, and there's multiple spiritual laws involved with this, is the one where they partake in a particular action, but they don't receive permission to do it. Okay? So it's the laws of permission, it's the laws of non-interference, it's the law basically using kind of manipulation, sleight of hand, and quite high and very high levels of coercion to get what they want. their end result. And that has happened simply because of this incredible push forward that we've made. And the second those laws were broken, that gave the higher realms, Archangel Gabriel, the unicorns, all of the other teams of light, the opportunity to now come in and start interceding on a much higher level. So a little example of this would be using or basically drawing innocence now into the equation. Now, an innocent would be a child, somebody who has not yet got that level of spiritual understanding or authority to make their own decisions. Okay, now, by my understanding, until a child is 16 years old, they are not permitted to make they're not fully responsible. The soul has not done its job and downloaded the aspects that would then say, right, you now learn, you go out and you learn and grow at your level. You can go forth, child, go forth and learn. They are our responsibility as parents. 16 years old is a big date for a reason. Then you've got a 3-year kind of growth period where the child or the kidult begins to expand into this new version of themselves. We all know what teenagers are like. You know, they know absolutely everything on the planet. They make their own decisions. But until they're 19, the final aspect of the adult soul does not download fully from the monad. So that 3-year period, again, it's almost like a little bit of a grey area. We are spiritually responsible for them as parents, but they're also being given the opportunity to make their own decisions, to say, well, look, you know, I've had 16 years on this planet. I've begun to know how it works. I'm capable. I'm coming of age, kind of thing. Well, what has been kind of brought forwards from the other side, the 3D matrix, is an attempt to kind of bring that particular age range or group or soul energy back into the reality without actually asking the permission from the correct people. Okay, so immediately that boundary is stepped over, it all goes south. Now, previously, everything that was done either on soul agreement. Anybody who'd been participating in the 3D matrix was going through a set of lessons that are completely agreed to on a soul level. Some of them obviously get a little bit out because there's so many variables with being in our reality. You come down to this planet, you have all of these opportunities to learn, but you also have the opportunities to make your own choices. And sometimes those choices would do what I would call exceed their creative potential, meaning that there's, you know, because of the creative space, things just snowball and you start getting occurrences that you would never normally have predicted, or the higher realms wouldn't predict. It's very much one of the, it can go one way or the other with the earth space, and that's the way it's been. But where we're heading, the spiritual laws are very much more distinct, they're much more fixed. And although I've covered this a few times recently, when we finally anchor and immerse ourselves with the 5th dimensional reality that we're all aiming for consciously and subconsciously, the things that we focus upon will be very different. If you've actually sat and thought to yourself what a heart-centered reality will actually be like to live in, it's very, very different from the one previously. A heart-centered reality is based on unity and service, so the I kind of dissipates and it's left with a unified we. So if you think about how an angel operates, or an archangel, or any other souls in service who are operating above that benchmark or that bandwidth of polarity, they very much function from a point of service. It's almost like inadvertently they've given up their free will in what appears to us to be free will in return for this opportunity for service. And Many of you might have already noticed this is how we're going already. Those of us that are choosing the 5D pathway, the Ascension pathway, we're already, even without really realising it, operating from a point of we rather than I. Of course we have to look after ourselves. We have to make decisions that care for our own physical, mental and emotional and spiritual bodies. That is paramount. If we're not functioning correctly, then the world around us isn't functioning correctly. But from a point of service, from a point of work, everything becomes more heart-centered, it becomes more heart-based. And we are now living in that reality where those laws apply. Okay, it was 2015, I believe it was, that on the night of that incredible blood moon, I saw it very clearly in the UK, where the vibration changed so distinctly overnight that the law of one became planet-wide in the reality that we're living in. So again, grace, intention, manifestation, karma, responsibility, unconditional love, put together, that is the law of one. Of course, there are other laws, like I said previously, that kind of govern that reality, but those are the main ones. So karma, responsibility, manifestation, unconditional love, these are all aspects of what we're living in now. So take a look at the way that karma operates, or the way that it operated previously in the third dimension. It was I've kind of looked at it almost a little bit like a bad store card, where you could, if you chose a life where you decided that you were going to experience the lower side of polarity, you could live that life, you would experience that life, you could do as you pleased, when you pleased. It didn't matter how those actions affected anybody else. You're a human being on earth, that is your choice, that is your prerogative. But there would always be the karmic reflections, which would then build up over the course of your incarnation, and in the next incarnation you'd pay it back. So you'd be born into a body with all of these contracts and these agreements to pay back what you'd done previously in the last lifetime. Which is why many souls that we see incarnating again and again on this pathway, you think to yourself, why is it that you are experiencing such pain? And naturally we wish to take that away from them, but as we are bound by that law of non-interference, until you are given permission, it's a given that you can't do so. But the law of grace has now been brought into this equation here on earth. The law of grace is going to be very much part of what we experience on the 8th of the 8th, the grace coming in. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the energy of grace, it looks like silver snow or a silver ray, and it's or even pure white in many cases. Pure white grace energy, purity, Archangel Gabriel's energy, the unicorn energy. And so this is now flooding through, along with the light from Sirius A, from the multitudes of the other spiritual suns. And I have never in all my days seen so many souls from the higher realms gathered round, ready to bring this into fruition. It really is quite phenomenal to witness. And I've heard feedback from many of you who are working with different aspects of these teams of light. Some of you are working with the Pleiadians, some of you are working with the Syrians, the Andromedans, the Arcturans, all of these souls. The dragons are coming. It's funny actually, the dragons have been, to me, quiet for a few years, and all of a sudden there's this incredible abundance of dragon energy coming back. They're just like roaring around the planet, alchemizing everything. And of course the unicorns, one unicorn is enough to change the world with its light, the same as we are, but we have got them all flooding in. So we are now witnessing in real time the alchemization of what was existing previously. Now that previous reality is not giving up its ground without a significant amount of protesting and fuss. So we are going to be experiencing this, we're going to be witnessing it. and particularly from the Lion's Gate onwards. There is for the astrologers of you out there, there's some, we are kind of almost destined to be living in a reality where this pressure cooker continues, but there's all of these aspects that are going to be coming in that turn off the opposition, that kind of neutralize the controlling factors of the 3D matrix as they move forwards. And all it took was one or several broken spiritual laws. If you think about, and I know many of you already know and already look at the shadow side of what we are experiencing, the way that the 3D matrix has retained control. One of the things that's very prominent about what they do and how they do it is they always tell you inadvertently what they are doing. This is how they've managed to navigate this particular spiritual law. They've always received permission to do what they do, but by sleight of hand. So it's always been a bending of the rules. Now they are doing things without seeking permission. Okay, they're not getting permission for what they are doing, and that is where the hammer of light comes down. It's where it intercedes. I'm going to be watching all of this occurring as closely and as in such a focused and interactive manner, just as you are. We've all got these incredible roles to play. We've all been kind of given this mantle of almost overwhelming responsibility at the moment. Some of you might be feeling it. Some of you might be just kind of, yeah, I can handle this. Yeah, I can do this. This is what I'm here for. And it's very interesting to note, because also with the appearance of the shadows, the visibility of what is going on around us at the moment, nothing has really changed. Okay, this is what I want to say. Nothing has really changed about the aspect of society that we are seeing coming up now. Okay, it's always been there. That control has always been there. That coercion, that way of keeping things locked into the matrix has always existed, but it's been done in a way that was just integrated into our civilizations, into our lives. The division, the situation where some people have, or lots of people have absolutely nothing, and a few people have absolutely everything. And that's been going on since particularly since the fall of Atlantis. And now we are claiming that ground back. Now we are claiming our sovereignty. The shadows have come out to be shown the light, and they are roaring their protests as loudly as possible, bringing forth all of these methods of what they believe will be an effective locking down and social controlling and everything, when in actual fact, as I've described previously, it's like letting fireworks off in the rain. It's when you try and bring methods of control into a reality that is of a higher frequency, they simply don't work. Okay, this is a beautiful part about what we're experiencing at the moment. We're seeing it all. We have the potential to experience it if we wish to engage with it. But the actual reality of holding that coercion, that control, that locking everything in place, it simply won't work, because the two are not designed to fit together. We live in a higher vibration now. We live in a higher reality. That is our reality. We've created it. We've absorbed it. We've integrated it. We've anchored it. And it's just giving us the opportunity to see everything around us. And it's not comfortable viewing in many cases. And I understand that. A lot of people are being very triggered by what is coming up. A lot of people are becoming that survival mechanism, particularly when it comes to what Archangel Gabriel refers to as the innocents. Okay, they have always been the most precious commodity for the future of our ascension process. Our children are the future foundations of our planet. They are the future masters. They are the future teachers, the leaders. And there's one thing, there's you see a lot of useful things circulating on Facebook just as much as you see the things that aren't quite so useful. There's one particular kind of meme that I saw recently which says, do you really believe that millions upon millions of high frequency light workers would incarnate to a planet simply to get trapped? Would we? No, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. We're here to do the job. We're here to get the job done. But it's just going to be uncomfortable for a little while. We might have to change the way we live. We have to change the way that we relate to society as a whole. Simply, if we're going to stand in our truth, stand in our sovereignty, we have to make these adjustments. And we'll find very easily that whatever we're leaving behind wasn't really that important in the first place. So, a little bit of talk on the spiritual laws this morning and where we are at the moment. We always have these agreements to abide by when we come down to a physical planet, but particularly Earth. Earth was constructed as a school, and it is still a school for many, many, many souls that we learn in, that we grow in. But there's these boundaries and these regulations and these spiritual laws that need to be honoured in order for the entire construction to work effectively. So that is my Friday talk. That is what I'm looking at, and it's very much prominent for the energy that is coming in for the Lion's Gate. Now, David Esri and I are really looking forward to Sunday. The energy and the light is going to be magnificent. Those of you that have seen the advertisement for the workshop, which is now full, we're full to the brim, we're full to capacity. The artwork and the souls that have come through to work, via David, are so incredibly powerful. And yes, the light and the anchoring that those of us everybody around the world is celebrating the Lion's Gate in whatever way that we're choosing to do so. Think of just how much unified power and light we are creating together. So yeah, clearing my throat just one last time. I'll see you there. I'll see you there on Sunday if you're joining us. And if you're not joining this particular group or workshop on the Sunday, then I'll see you on Monday morning. It's going to be interesting on Monday morning. The meditation, or the walking meditation on Monday morning, is going to be just literally on the other side of the Lion's Gate, and I'm looking forward to that, because it's always very interesting to see how we anchor this light in, how we adapt to it, how physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually we feel after such an intensive integration of the downloads. Sending you all loads of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.